Good morning, happy Friday everyone, and welcome back. It is time again for another edition of the Weekly Member Spotlight. We are here this morning with Mr. Grant Saunders from Hayes & Sons. Welcome, Grant.
Thank you.
Thank you for agreeing to be a participant of this initiative. I kind of hunted you down and didn't give you much of a choice, did I?
No, not at all, but we're happy to be here.
Well, I appreciate it. As a member of our associate council, I knew you would want to take this opportunity.
Yep.
Let everyone get to know you a little bit.
Yeah.
Before we get into the interview, I just wanted to make an announcement. This Tuesday, August 13th at 8:30 a.m., our Business Exchange event is taking place at the Oasis Conference Center. I think we could probably squeeze in another associate member or two, and certainly another primary member or two. So if you have not yet had the opportunity to register for that, please call Michelle at the Apartment Association office today and make sure you get registered. You do not want to miss this event. Grant, before we get started, I might just ask you, as an associate council member and someone who I know will be front and center at that event, how has that impacted Hayes & Sons?
So it's made a big impact for us. I would say, I always circle it on the calendar. We think it's the best event of the year. Not that there aren't a bunch of other great events. It's just a really good opportunity for us, as we were getting involved in the association, to kind of get the landscape of everything.
Right.
And then as it's evolved over the years, it's been a really good opportunity to get in front of new relationships, deepen existing relationships, and build relationships. Honestly, with vendors, when you stand in line, kind of wait, you can really build your network out. So we really like it.
Well, thank you. Look forward to seeing you. I hope you stop by the Village Green Table on
Certainly
Tuesday. All right. Well, I know you're a very familiar face to the association and serving us well on the associate council, and you're on several committees. We'll talk about that in a moment.
Yeah.
But there may be some folks out in Facebook land who don't know who you are. Would you take a moment, just introduce yourself, and maybe tell everyone how long you've been in the industry?
Yeah, so I've been in the industry for coming up on 6 years here at the end of August. I've been through that entire time general manager with Hayes & Sons here locally. And so we've been on the vendor side of things, and I've learned quite a bit about the industry in general over the course of that 6 years. So.
Got it. So what did you do before you got involved with the industry?
So I was actually on the insurance side of things. So I started right out of college. I worked out of the corporate building for Cincinnati Insurance over in Fairfield. And then after a couple of years there, I went on with my dad and we started a State Farm agency from scratch. I was with him for about 8 or 9 years before.
In Cincinnati?
Yep. Yeah, his office is just up in Westchester.
Oh, great. Probably got a mailer sometime.
I'm quite sure, and probably a couple cold calls.
Right, possibly. Well, I know, again, you're very involved with the association. Tell us what membership committee what other committees are you on?
Yeah, so primarily I'm on membership committee. I'm on the Business Exchange committee, and so really trying to be kind of active and help out on those. I'm working a little bit on kind of fall golf outing and all that, so we'll be involved in trying to get that done as well.
Wonderful. And elected again for the associate council, so congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, we appreciate your service. Well, having been in the industry for the last 6 years or so, I'm sure you've seen your fair share of crazy things. Tell us about a memorable story.
Oh man, so the stuff that we typically see is kind of the worst of the worst.
Right.
The big headaches for everybody involved. So we typically, it's not uncommon for us to walk into units where maybe there's mushrooms growing out of the carpet or the ceiling.
Yeah.
So, so there's quite a few of those. We've had a couple tenants who haven't left their apartment for, a year plus, 2 years plus. And so kind of the fun stuff that goes along with getting over the kind of the initial scene and then working on getting it clean and back in shape so I can get it back online. So those certainly stick out.
I joke around a lot that I think someone in the apartment industry should start reality TV, like talk about ancillary income. That is a show we would watch. I bet you could say the same thing about your industry.
Without a doubt. It wouldn't be hard to fill up a half an hour a week.
Exactly. Good gracious. Well, again, you're not super new to the industry, but you're not not been around for a decade or anything yet. What advice would you offer up to folks just getting involved with the association?
So just be proactive in building relationships with just about everybody you can. We still very much, I'm 6 years into kind of getting into it. I learn something new every day.
Yeah.
And you learn from everybody involved on the property management side, from the folks who take care of the property on a daily basis to the folks who manage on site, all the way kind of up the ladder. If you're not listening, then you're not picking up kind of what you need to, because there's a million things that are going on a daily basis. And the more you know and can kind of relate and sort of partner with that, the better off you are as either as a vendor or just being able to anticipate kind of challenges down the line. So
one thing, and I should have asked you this early, so I apologize, but why don't you tell us a little bit about Hayes and Sons and what the company does and how you are here for our members?
Yeah, we're a disaster restoration company, which kind of breaks into two parts: the emergency response portion, where we're coming out in the middle of the night to get something boarded up, getting it dried out whenever it may occur. And then the second piece of what we do is the construction portion, getting it put back together, after it's been torn apart.
Mm-hmm.
So as a company, that's kind of what we do. Our focus is always to take care of people in their time of need, but really on the property management side of things, work to partner with you folks to understand exactly how each of you run your business and how we can kind of fit within that business plan. So that your management and your tenants get a good result out of what can be kind of a really bad situation.
Not to put you on the spot or anything,
Yep.
but I told you I was going to at some point, so we'll just get that out of the way now. Do y'all have like a guaranteed response time for emergencies?
We do. So what we guarantee, we work to a 2-hour radius. We're just north of Tri-County Mall, so we work to a 2-hour radius around that. So our guaranteed response time is 2 hours. We do most of our work really more within that hour.
Mm-hmm.
So go from Dayton through Cincinnati and kind of northern Kentucky.
Right.
We shoot to have that within an hour to be on site to really start diagnosing the situation, figure out what it needs.
Great. That's very good to know. Helpful to know. Anything else about you professionally you want to add just yet before we dive into getting to know you a little bit as a human being?
So just that we've been lucky enough over the course of the last 6 years to kind of build our business. We were recently named, so it's 2 times in 3 years, as a top 100 contractor. We're part of a national network of contractors of more than 5,000, so we're pretty proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been really successful on that front, really working hard to deliver a good professional customer experience.
What are some of the qualifications to be one of the top 100?
Yeah, so those qualifications include meeting and exceeding response time, so getting on site really quickly on the emergency side of things, going through and getting an accurate scope of work drawn up and getting that approved quickly, because we do a lot of insurance work.
Right.
We do the same thing though as we work directly with property management and commercial real estate folks. And then working on getting the job done within what we all agree on is an accurate expectation of getting it done. So kind of wrap all that up together. What they do is come up with a composite scoring system to give us kind of an idea on where we rank. And so that's how that comes together, and we've been lucky enough to get into that top 100 twice in the last 3 years.
Wow,
so.
That's great. Out of 5,000. Congrats.
5,000, yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
All right, well, can we get to know you a little bit as a person?
Absolutely.
All right, well, tell us about your family.
So I've been married to my wife Lisa for 14 years. We've got 3 kids.
You must have been like
It's
12 when you got married?
Yeah, started early.
Right.
Started early, yeah. Which we actually dated for 7 years before that. So
Holy cow.
yeah, it's
Well, congratulations.
I'm sure she would tell you it's been probably feels like that, so.
Right. So you've actually been married 14 years.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
congrats.
14 years in June.
That's
so
awesome.
thank you. So we have 3 kids. Daughter Isabella is 9. Son Nicholas is 6, and then my youngest son Dominic is turning 4 here at the end of August.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you.
What do you guys like to do in your pastime?
So we pretty much function as Uber drivers for them at this point, which
Basically,
I'm sure
right?
is only gonna increase as they get older.
Right.
So they're into all kinds of activities, and a lot of them are sports. So we're at a softball diamond or a baseball diamond or a soccer field or a basketball court. We've recently added swimming to the mix,
Oh, wow.
so I'm getting to learn about swimming.
Which one's doing the swimming?
The 6-year-old is doing the
Oh,
swimming,
wow.
so he likes to kind of go out on his own and not do what his older sister does.
Well, that'll be cool with the Summer Olympics coming up next year. They were already
Yeah.
talking. Is it in Tokyo? I think.
So I believe it is.
And they were talking about it, and I like the swimming.
Yeah.
Fun.
I'm kind of learning as I go.
Yeah.
I know some stuff about other sports, swimming not necessarily.
Yeah. Well, what's your favorite sport?
So my favorite sport is basketball. I was always played basketball growing up. Played in college for a little bit.
Mhm.
So pretty active. I actually coached my son's team, and then pretty active in helping kind of train my daughter and all that fun
So
stuff.
we had Dave Estes in here last week, and
Yeah,
he's a
he
big
is.
basketball guy and a coach. And
Dave is.
Yep.
Yeah.
he
And
give you
his-
any pointers?
So he always gives me pointers. And actually, so it's funny. Dave's daughter was a really good basketball player.
Mhm.
So I always ask him questions about kind of what is to come. Just because my daughter's getting older and she's our oldest, we're kind of going
Right.
through it the first time.
Right.
So
Did he give you any pointers on style. He said he's not the throw the chair across the court kind of coach,
Yeah.
but a little more
Yeah.
low key and calm.
So it's always, with all of us who have our kids in activities and
Right.
sports, it's always like important to keep that stuff in the proper perspective.
Right.
So like, can something that can maybe seem like the end of the world, just be a little bit more low key about it and encourage and support and all that stuff.
You seem like a low key kind of guy. So
Try to be. Certainly got my moments.
Well, who's your favorite sports team? Who do you follow?
So I'm a big Reds fan.
Yeah.
So when they're in season, we're either listening to them on the radio if we're going somewhere, or watching them on TV. And then on the college side of things, I'm a big Purdue fan. Both my parents graduated from Purdue, so football and basketball, we're big into that. They had season tickets for both. So we try and make it over there kind of as much as we can fit in.
So I know one of their, the moms of one of their basketball players last year who was drafted.
Yeah.
We'll have to chat. Edwards.
Oh, yeah.
Edwards, yeah.
We
I
like
knew
him.
his mom when she was pregnant with him.
Really?
I rented her an apartment actually back in the day when I was on site, and yes, I loved following him. And I don't follow Purdue at all, but I did, of course, especially his last season.
Well, we'll bring you in the fold. You can
Yeah, there you go. Did you shed any tears last week with all the Reds trades and everything going on?
So I hated to see Puig go. I like Puig, but anytime they can add pitching, I think
he's
it's
just
a good
right up
thing.
the road. He said.
I don't know, maybe for the right price he comes back.
That's right.
But yeah, no, I thought I was okay with it.
So with such a big family, do y'all have any pets?
We do. So we have a dog. She is just crossed over being a year old, which we thought that would get to the point here. 18-month mark, she would maybe start to calm down.
Right.
We're going kind of in the wrong direction with that right now.
What kind of dog?
She's a pit bull boxer mix. She looked like when we got her, we just adopted her, and so she was kind of a mix of everything. But she's gotten bigger. That's definitely what she is. We thought she maybe was have some Great Dane in her, but no.
So I know you said earlier you're not a social media guy and you don't have Facebook or anything, which means you probably miss out on some really awesome viral videos. Yeah. I just watched one this morning, and it's of this boxer who's at this dog obedience class. I'm going to send it to you because it's hilarious. And it's probably a puppy, like a year old or so, and it's in the test. It's like the graduation ceremony or whatever, and it runs to the owner and starts like circling and dancing around, and then she's like, front, and it sits it down and looks up like nothing happened.
Yeah, so that's not our dog. Our dog will be the one running around, and it will just run into you full speed. So
the kids love her though, or is it a she? You said, right?
It is. So it's a she. It's funny. It's the first girl dog we've had. We've had a couple boy dogs, so we're maybe thinking that be a little bit calmer.
Right.
The exact opposite. And so what's funny is my youngest really wanted the dog, and he wanted to name her. He wanted to name her Beast because he's a big fan of Beauty and the Beast, only because he likes to watch the Beast. We felt like we should name her probably Belle because she was a girl, but it's kind of the same thing. We probably should have named her Beast at this point based on the way she is.
Okay. Again, I'm only asking this because you probably know, but do your kids watch The Descendants?
So a little bit.
Okay, so Descendants 3 just came out, and The Beast has a pretty big part in it. So if it literally just came out last week. If they've not watched it, it's pretty good. Okay. I may or may not have watched it once or twice this week. But all right. Well, what about reading? Are you a reader? Read any good books lately?
Read a little bit. So last book I read was it's a book called Legend by James Kerr, and what it is, it's about the principles it's about the New Zealand All Blacks, who are the world's most successful rugby team. And just kind of the 14 principles that make them successful and kind of keep them at the top of the heap, and how that translates into business and building teams and building culture.
And what's the book called again?
It's called Legend.
Legend. Okay.
Or Legacy.
Legacy. Okay.
There you go.
Legacy. I haven't heard of that. I'll put that on my list. We were talking about reading this morning. I'm gonna need another book soon. What about food or restaurants? What's your favorite?
I like Cajun food. So here locally, Papa Dough is really great for that kind of thing. I was lucky enough a couple years ago to take a business trip down to New Orleans. So for the 3 days we were down there, kind of in heaven there.
You ate good.
ate great. Gained a few pounds.
Right.
But, what are you gonna do?
I've heard New Orleans will do that to you.
Yeah.
So what about TV? Any TV or movies that are your favorites?
So TV, we watch a lot of sports.
Yeah.
And right now it's the Reds just about every night, and out there winning some games. It's getting a little bit more exciting.
Right.
So we watch them quite a bit. And
any chance of a postseason? Probably not.
Long shot.
Right.
But who knows? They keep winning. Maybe they'll sneak in.
Right. Well, what's one of the best concerts that you've attended?
So best concerts I've attended, so a couple come to mind. So saw Radiohead down at Riverbend about, at this point, probably 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
They were great. Jay-Z actually came down and played with a live band down in the BB&T Arena down in
Oh,
KU.
wow. Yeah.
And that's been probably about 5 or 6 years ago.
Jay-Z?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so
I
he
didn't hear
was.
about that.
It was a great concert. It was all live band backing him up and all that. So he did a nice
Wow.
job. So.
All right. Well, this is a fun question. If you were an animal, what would you be and why?
So I would say a dog. Only because I tend to be pretty loyal and like to function and be kind of part of the team family unit kind of thing.
Well, that's good. All right, well, just a couple more questions and we'll let you get to your weekend, Grant.
Yeah.
Thank you again for participating in this, and I apologize for I didn't harass you. You volunteered, but I did make volunteer. You commit to a date. So
yeah.
Tell us a random or interesting detail about yourself that people wouldn't otherwise know.
So, random detail. Been skydiving.
Oh.
And then bungee jumped out of the second tallest bungee jump in the world, which is like a cable car strapped between two sides of a canyon, which is a little bit nerve-wracking. So those, so I'd say that.
So have you heard about Sky Zone that was just built up in Liberty Township?
Yeah, which is like 10 minutes from my house.
Yeah,
so I actually got to see it come from the ground up.
Do you live in the Westchester?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm your neighbor.
There you go.
Yeah, my son wants to do that, and I'm like, oy, I'm not sure. Even under a controlled environment, that's my cup of tea, but we'll see.
Yeah, you just got to take the leap and do it.
So how did you get to do something so crazy?
So I actually did them in back-to-back days. So when I was in college, I studied abroad in Australia for 6 months. And one of the things that we did is take a trip, group of students, about 24 of us, from the college I was studying at, took a trip down to New Zealand for a couple weeks, which South Island in New Zealand is all like adventure sports and mountain climbing and all that kind of thing. So as part of that trip, they had planned activities, and so those were all part of the whole thing.
Wow. Do you hope your kids have the same interest in those extreme kind of activities?
So my youngest, terrified of heights, roller coasters, and anything that like makes him nervous. My oldest, my daughter, all in. She's been very excited because we have a Kings Island pass. So she's been very excited this year that she's met the height requirement to do the Diamondback and all these kinds of things. So she's in for whatever.
My son finally met the height requirement to do all of the coasters except Diamondback. He's got like another inch and a half to go, and he's like, Mom, can we put napkins in my shoes? Or what if I stand up really straight? I'm like, buddy, you don't want to be an inch too short on a ride like that. I'm just telling you.
Well, and that means you have to go along with them too at that
I'm
point.
all for the roller coasters. The jumping off of things or being suspended by a very small piece of anything, no thank you. All right, well, last question, Grant. Thank you again. So how do you think people who know you, even through the GCNKAA, would describe you as a professional?
So I guess what I would hope out of that is that I'm genuine, that I'm always kind of willing to help out, and with that, so any connections, I'm very grateful for the connections that I've been able to make. So anytime I can kind of pay it forward and do that for anybody who's new or for folks I've built relationships with, always happy to do so, because I think what it does is build a stronger association, which we've got a great one, and continues to kind of keep us on the right path and growing and all that. So
wonderful. Well, thank you very much. We're going to make a post about you and your responses to these questions very late in the day today. I just want to say it's going to be later in the day today, and so folks can read it over the weekend. I know you said you don't have Facebook, but make sure your wife finds it on the GCNKA page and shares it with everyone. But thank you again. Really appreciate you. Thanks everyone for watching, and we look forward to seeing you on Tuesday at the Oasis for our Business Exchange event. Everyone have a fantastic weekend. Thank you.